Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you've stared at a familiar face and couldn't remember their name? These moments might seem small at first, but for millions of older Americans, they're early warning signs of something much more serious. And the scariest part, the real culprit might not be aging at all. It could be hiding inside your own medicine cabinet. Every 66 seconds, another senior in the United States is diagnosed with dementia. That's nearly 1/300 people every single day. But what if many of these cases were actually caused by medications most people trust? Drugs labeled as safe, prescribed as routine, sold over the counter. Drugs that have been quietly destroying memory and shrinking the brain for years without anyone sounding the alarm. New research is uncovering a terrifying truth. One class of medication has been linked to a 49% higher risk of dementia within just 2 years of use. Another has been shown to shrink critical memory centers by nearly 30% in less than 12 months. And even worse, many of these drugs are taken together, multiplying the damage without any visible warning signs until it's too late. But this video is not just about fear, it's about power, it's about knowledge, and it's about fighting back. Because while these medications may be harming millions, the good news is that there are safer options, smarter choices, simple changes that can protect memory, restore clarity, and even reverse some of the damage already done. In this episode, we'll expose the 9 most dangerous medications that may be silently triggering memory loss and dementia, and we'll show exactly what to do instead. If you or someone you love is over 60, this might be the most important video you ever watch. Number 9. Diphenhydramine. Let's start with something almost every American household has. That small pink pill you trust to help you sleep or soothe your allergies. It might be quietly damaging your brain. The drug is called diphenhydramine. You probably know it as Benadryl. It's available without a prescription. It looks harmless. It feels helpful. But here's the shocking truth. Diphenhydramine belongs to a group of drugs called anticholinergics. These medications block acetylcholine, a critical brain chemical that helps you stay alert and form new memories. As we age, our brains rely even more on this chemical to function properly. But when you take Benadryl regularly, especially at night, you're interrupting that natural system. Inside your brain, something terrifying begins to happen. The hippocampus, your memory center, starts to weaken. Signals slow down. Memory formation becomes foggy. And the worst part, you won't even feel it happening. You'll just start forgetting little things. A word, a face, a name. Until one day, it's not so little anymore. A 2023 study in the Journal of Geriatric Cognitive Health found that seniors who regularly used anticholinergic drugs like Benadryl had a 54% higher risk of developing dementia. That's not a small number. That's a national emergency. Let's take the example of Arthur, 72, who started taking over-the-counter PM pills to help him sleep after his wife passed away. Within months, he noticed his memory slipping. He forgot appointments. He repeated himself. His daughter thought it was grief. But after switching off diphenhydramine under medical supervision, his clarity slowly returned. Arthur didn't have dementia. He had a drug problem he never saw coming. So what can you do instead? First, avoid any medication with the letters PM or labeled nighttime or allergy relief. They often contain diphenhydramine. For allergies, ask your doctor about loratadine, known as Claritin, a non-drowsy option that doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. For sleep, try melatonin or cognitive behavioral sleep therapy, proven safer for long-term brain health. But just knowing this one danger isn't enough, because the next medication on our list is marketed as gentle and protective, yet it may be starving your brain of nutrients you desperately need to stay sharp. Number 8, proton pump inhibitors. If diphenhydramine weakens memory from the outside, this next drug attacks it from the inside. It's one of the most common medications in America. It's meant to help with heartburn, acid reflux, or GERD. But behind that relief lies a hidden cost. We're talking about proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, found in brand names like Prilosec and Nexium. These drugs reduce stomach acid. Sounds helpful, right? But here's the catch. Your stomach needs acid to absorb vital nutrients. And when acid is suppressed for too long, your body stops absorbing key vitamins like B12, magnesium, and calcium, all of which your brain needs to function at full power. Over time, this nutrient deficiency can quietly weaken brain cells, disrupt neurotransmitters, and trigger symptoms that mimic early Alzheimer's. Mental fog, mood swings, short-term memory loss. What's worse, many seniors stay on PPIs for years without ever being told about the risks. A 2016 study published in JAMA Neurology tracked over 73,000 adults aged 75 and older. It found that those who regularly used PPIs had a 44% higher risk of developing dementia. That's nearly 1 out of every 2 users. Not because of age, not because of genetics, but because their brain was being starved of fuel. Let's talk about Evelyn. 68. She took Nexium every morning for nearly a decade. No one warned her about B12 loss. When her forgetfulness began, her doctor blamed aging. But after stopping the drug and starting supplements under supervision, her memory improved within months. It wasn't age, it was a missing nutrient. So what's the smarter path forward? Talk to your doctor about switching to H2 blockers like famotidine, sold as Pepcid, which are less likely to impact cognition. You can also try natural support like deglycyrrhizated licorice, a compound that soothes the stomach lining without blocking acid. But just knowing this still isn't enough. Because the next medication on our list may seem like a small solution to a common problem, but its effects on memory can be brutally direct. Number 7, bladder control medications. If PPIs quietly drain the brain's nutrients, this next drug strikes directly at your memory centers. And it's prescribed for something millions of older adults deal with every day: overactive bladder, frequent urges, accidents. The embarrassment of not making it in time. To fix that, doctors often prescribe medications like oxybutynin, sold under the name Ditropan. It sounds like a small solution, just a pill to help with bladder control. But here's what most seniors are never told. Oxybutynin is a powerful anticholinergic drug. That means it blocks acetylcholine, the same critical chemical your brain depends on to store memories and stay mentally sharp. And unlike some weaker medications, oxybutynin crosses the blood-brain barrier easily, making it especially dangerous for older adults. The effects are not just possible, they're expected. In a 2019 study published in the BMJ, seniors over 65 who use strong anticholinergic medications like oxybutynin for longer than 1 year had a 49% higher risk of developing dementia, nearly 1 in 2. Now imagine this. Grace, age 70, started taking a bladder control pill to avoid embarrassing leaks during church services. Within months, her family noticed she kept forgetting details of conversations. She misplaced her keys. She struggled to finish sentences. No one linked it to the medication until it was too late. But there's hope. Today, newer medications like mirabegron, sold as Myrbetriq, offer bladder support through a different mechanism. They do not block acetylcholine and are considered far safer for the brain. Always talk to your doctor before switching, but these alternatives could help protect both your independence and your mind. But just knowing this still isn't the full picture. Because the next medication on our list is one of the most prescribed in America, and it may be starving your brain of what it needs to stay alive. Number 6, statins. If bladder control meds attack memory through chemical interference, this next drug does something far more subtle. It removes a natural substance your brain actually needs to survive. We're talking about statins, medications like simvastatin and atorvastatin, often sold under brand names like Zocor and Lipitor. They're some of the most commonly prescribed drugs in the United States, especially for adults over 60. Their goal is clear: lower cholesterol to protect the heart, and for many people, that's a life-saving move. But what few are told is this: cholesterol isn't just about heart health. It's also essential for brain health. The brain is nearly 60% fat. Cholesterol helps form the myelin sheath, a protective layer around nerves that lets signals move fast and clean. When cholesterol levels drop too low, those neural signals start to slow. That can lead to confusion, memory lapses, even signs that look like early cognitive decline. In 2023, a study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience followed seniors over 70 who had taken statins for more than 3 years. It found a 26% higher risk of mild cognitive impairment, especially at higher doses. Some patients reported sudden moments of forgetfulness. Others said they felt like their mind just wasn't firing right. Take John, age 74. He was active, social, and sharp. But after 2 years on a high-dose statin, his wife noticed he kept asking the same questions. When they spoke to his doctor, they discovered his brain was starved of cholesterol. With careful monitoring, his dose was lowered, and slowly, his mental clarity began to return. So what's the safer route? Not all statins are the same. Options like pravastatin and rosuvastatin don't cross the blood-brain barrier as easily. They're generally considered less risky. And for some, lifestyle changes combined with lower doses may protect both the heart and the mind. But just knowing this one fact still doesn't prepare you for what's coming next. Because the next drug on our list is fast-acting, seductive, and it may be quietly rewiring your brain in ways you can't reverse. Number 5, benzodiazepines. If statins steal your brain's fuel slowly, this next drug rewires how your brain functions altogether. It's prescribed for peace, for sleep, for anxiety relief, but over time, it can turn the mind into a foggy, fragile version of itself. The drug class is called benzodiazepines, or benzos for short. These include popular names like Xanax, Valium, and Ativan. At first, they seem like a gift, a way to silence the racing thoughts, a fast solution to panic or insomnia. They work by enhancing GABA, the brain's calming chemical. But there's a darker side. Long-term use can dull the brain's natural ability to think, focus, and remember. In a massive 2022 study published in the BMJ, over 8,000 seniors were followed across 6 years. Those who used benzodiazepines for longer than 3 months had a 51% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Even short-term use carried cognitive risks. And longer-acting benzos like Valium were shown to accumulate in fatty brain tissue, causing slower reaction times, forgetfulness, and emotional numbness. Let's talk about Lorraine. Age 69. She began using Ativan to sleep after her husband passed. It helped at first, but months later, she felt detached. She forgot where she parked her car. She stopped recognizing her neighbors. What seemed like grief was actually drug-induced memory loss. Under supervision, she began tapering off the drug. Her emotional clarity began to return. So what can you do instead? Never stop a benzo suddenly. It can be dangerous. But talk to your doctor about gradual tapering plans. Ask about safer options like buspirone, a non-sedating anxiety medication, or consider cognitive behavioral therapy, which has been shown to outperform medications for long-term anxiety and sleep issues. But just knowing this truth won't protect you from the next risk. Because up next is a drug often praised as versatile and harmless, yet it may be blocking the very signals your brain uses to stay alive. Number 4, amitriptyline. While benzodiazepines dull the mind with sedation, this next medication silently blocks the very chemical your brain needs to think. It's an older antidepressant still commonly prescribed for a wide range of issues: pain, insomnia, migraines, even nerve damage. The name is amitriptyline, often sold under the brand Elavil. It sounds versatile, even helpful. But here's what many seniors don't realize. Amitriptyline is one of the strongest anticholinergic drugs still in circulation today. That means it powerfully blocks acetylcholine, the same neurotransmitter tied to learning, memory, and attention. And the older your brain gets, the more devastating this interference becomes. You might think a low nightly dose is harmless, but according to a 2015 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, seniors who took higher cumulative doses of anticholinergic medications like amitriptyline over a 10-year period had a 54% greater chance of developing dementia. That's more than half, again, the normal risk. And what's worse, most patients are never warned. Let's look at Harold, 71. He was prescribed amitriptyline for chronic back pain. At first, he slept better, but weeks later, he began losing track of time. He forgot to take his other medications. He'd get halfway through a story and trail off mid-sentence. His family thought it was aging. It wasn't. It was chemical. So what are the safer paths? For nerve pain, medications like duloxetine or gabapentin offer similar benefits with fewer cognitive risks. For sleep, low-dose doxepin or melatonin can help without shutting down memory pathways. And for mood support, sertraline or escitalopram are newer antidepressants better tolerated by the aging brain. But just knowing this still doesn't reveal the most ironic twist of all. Because the next medication on our list is marketed as modern and brain-friendly. Yet it's the only one in its class that may directly shrink your memory. Number 3, paroxetine. If amitriptyline is the old heavyweight, this next drug is its modern twin in disguise. It's marketed as safer, lighter, easier on the brain, but buried beneath the label is a serious red flag. The drug is paroxetine, commonly sold under the name Paxil. It's part of the SSRI family, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, often prescribed for anxiety and depression. Most SSRIs are designed to help the brain rebalance mood with minimal side effects. But here's the problem. Paroxetine is the only SSRI with strong anticholinergic properties. That means it interferes with acetylcholine, the same memory-forming chemical we've warned about in earlier medications. And that one difference makes a huge impact. In a 2021 review published in Frontiers in Psychiatry, researchers found that seniors taking paroxetine experienced faster declines in verbal recall and attention span compared to those on other SSRIs. In fact, those on paroxetine were 30% more likely to show early signs of cognitive impairment. That's not just an inconvenience. That's a direct hit to independence and quality of life. Take Mary, 67. She started taking paroxetine to manage anxiety after retiring. But over the next year, her short-term memory faded. She forgot family birthdays. She struggled to follow recipes. It wasn't until her doctor switched her to a safer alternative that she began to feel mentally present again. It wasn't depression, it was the wrong drug. So what's the better path? Safer SSRIs like sertraline or escitalopram offer similar mood support without the same anticholinergic risks. And don't underestimate the power of vitamin B12 and B6 supplements, which support healthy brain function and may ease mild mood symptoms naturally. But just knowing this still doesn't prepare you for what's next. Because the next drug was never designed for seniors at all, yet it's being prescribed in thousands of care homes every day to manage confusion, and the results can be devastating. Number 2, antipsychotics. While paroxetine quietly chips away at memory over time, this next class of drugs can break cognition like a hammer to glass. They weren't designed for older adults. They weren't even created for age-related conditions. And yet, they're being prescribed across the country to seniors in nursing homes, hospitals, and even outpatient clinics. These are antipsychotics, medications like quetiapine Seroquel, risperidone Risperdal, and olanzapine Zyprexa. Originally intended for treating schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, they are now often given off-label to older adults for symptoms like agitation, restlessness, confusion, or insomnia. But here's the chilling part. These medications suppress dopamine, a chemical tied not only to mood and motivation, but also to memory, decision-making, and personality. When dopamine drops too low, the brain becomes dull, slow, and emotionally flat. It's not a cure, it's chemical sedation. In a 2022 study published in the Lancet Healthy Longevity, over 25,000 older adults were tracked. Those given antipsychotics for behavioral issues had a 71% higher risk of rapid cognitive decline within just 12 months. Many had no prior signs of dementia, but after starting the drug, their decline accelerated dramatically. Let's take Robert, 75. After a fall at home, he became anxious and confused in the hospital. A doctor prescribed risperidone to calm him. Within weeks, his daughter said he was no longer the same. He barely spoke. His eyes looked vacant. The medication numbed more than his nerves. It muted his entire personality. So what can be done? Ask hard questions. If you or a loved one is on an antipsychotic, ask why. Challenge whether it's truly necessary. Many symptoms like confusion or restlessness can be reduced with non-drug interventions. Routines, better lighting, hydration, or simply reducing noise and stimulation. And when medication is absolutely needed, short-term use at the lowest possible dose is critical. But just knowing this still doesn't uncover the biggest threat of all, because the final danger on our list isn't a single drug. It's something far more silent, far more widespread, and it's happening to millions without them ever knowing. Number 1, anticholinergic polypharmacy. If antipsychotics are the heavy hammer, this final danger is the invisible trap. It doesn't come in just one bottle. It doesn't have a single name, and most seniors taking it have no idea they're even at risk. The most dangerous medication for brain health is not a single pill. It's the combination of multiple anticholinergic drugs taken at the same time. It's called anticholinergic polypharmacy, and it is a silent epidemic. Imagine this. A senior takes diphenhydramine to sleep, oxybutynin for bladder control, amitriptyline for pain. Separately, they each pose a risk, but together, they create a cumulative anticholinergic burden that can disrupt brain chemistry so severely that the brain begins to shrink. Not metaphorically, literally. A 2022 study published in Age and Aging followed over 280,000 seniors and found that those with the highest anticholinergic load had a 120% increased risk of developing dementia within 10 years. That's more than double. And most had no clue they were even on risky medications. Take Eleanor, age 76. She was active and sharp, but after being prescribed 3 common medications by 3 different doctors, her memory began to slip. Her family thought it was aging, but when a pharmacist ran her meds through an anticholinergic burden calculator, the results were alarming. With support from her care team, she began tapering off the riskiest drugs. Within months, her mental clarity started to return. So what's the solution? Start with a full medication review. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to evaluate every prescription and over-the-counter item you take. There are professional tools that measure cumulative anticholinergic load. Once identified, you can work together to reduce that burden by switching to safer alternatives or eliminating unnecessary drugs. But just knowing this is the beginning of the real conversation, because reversing drug-induced memory loss is possible, but only if you act now. The truth we uncovered today is sobering. Medications that were meant to help are sometimes quietly harming the brain, from over-the-counter allergy pills to powerful prescription drugs used every day. The risk to memory and cognition is real. But here's the most important takeaway. This is not your fault, and it is not too late. You now know what 99% of seniors are never told. You understand which drugs carry silent risks. And more importantly, you now have a path forward. Whether it's asking your doctor for a medication review, switching to safer alternatives, or simply becoming more aware of what you take every day, small actions can protect your mind. Your brain is resilient. With the right steps, many drug-related memory issues can be slowed, stopped, or even reversed. And that's the power of knowledge. You're no longer in the dark. You're in control. If you found this video helpful, we encourage you to save it and share it with someone you love. You never know who might be silently struggling. And if you want more science-backed tips on senior health, including the safest foods, brain-boosting habits, and daily nutrition updates, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week that could help you stay strong, sharp, and independent. In our next episode, we'll reveal 7 foods that rebuild brain cells and reverse inflammation, including one that's already in your kitchen. Until then, stay informed, stay proactive, and remember, you have more power over your health than you've ever been told. Tap subscribe, hit save, and give your mind the support it truly deserves.